Hey, good morning and happy Monday. I was so pleased with what you came up with for your pictures for the quadratic formula. That was so cool. I love that. Well, I tell you what, get your math notebook out. We're going to keep working with the quadratic formula. And what we're going to do today is similar to what we did on Friday. We're going to do quadratic formula with irrational solutions level 2. So let's just get started. Pause if you need to, jot this down. Okay, first I want to recall a couple of things. First of all, if I have 6 plus 18 divided by 4, okay, we know 6 plus 18 is 24. So that's 24 divided by 4. So we know the correct answer for this would be 6. Okay? Now, if I were to do this, 6 plus 18 divided by 4, what if you thought, oh, hey, let's just do some canceling? How about if I cancel between the 4 and the 6? They're both divisible by 2. Let's make the 4 divided by 2 is 2, the 6 divided by 2 is 3. Well, if I canceled like that, notice I get 18, 19, 20, 21. I get 21 over 2, which is not 6. So this is incorrect. We can't do this. This is a big no-no. You can only cancel if you can cancel all 3 terms. So if I wanted to correctly cancel 6 plus 18 divided by 4, I would realize that each of the 3 terms is divisible by 2. So I would divide that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 3 plus 9 is 12. And 12 divided by 2 is in fact 6. So that would be the correct way to cancel. You have to cancel between all 3 terms. Okay? That's something I want you to keep in mind. Well, and I want to show you something else. Okay? This is really like 6 fourths plus 18 fourths. Okay? So we can write, since that's a common denominator, we can write it as 6 plus 18 divided by 4. So here, if I were to reduce, that would be a 2 and that would be a 3. So 3 halves plus, that would be a 2 and that would be a 9. So I would get 3 plus 9 divided by 2, or 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Okay? I just want you to keep that in mind. When you have 3 terms, you have to cancel between all 3 of them. Okay, I think I've spent enough time on that. I tried to really make that point. Okay, the second thing I want you to recall, number 2, is what we did before when we simplified radicals. And let me just look and see. Okay, we did this on April 16th and 17th, simplified radicals. So let me just review one of those real quick. If I have the square root of 50, okay, the largest perfect square factor of 50 is 25. So that's 25 times 2. The square root of 25 is 5, so 5 root 2 is how I would simplify that radical. Okay, these are 2 skills we're going to keep in mind. Okay, let's go to our first problem. Number 1. X squared plus 4x equals 1. Okay, first of all, we have to get this in standard form, so I need to set it equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. X squared plus 4x minus 1 equals 0. Notice there's no constant term to combine it with over here, so I'll just write minus 1 equals 0. Now, we know that a is 1, b is 4, and c is negative 1. So the quadratic formula, x equals the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 16 minus 4 times a is 1 times c is negative 1, all divided by 2 times a, so 2 times 1. Okay, let's simplify the radical. That's going to be 16. Now I have a negative times a negative, so that'll be a plus 4. 16 plus 4 is 20. Now, unlike Friday, this radical can be simplified. Okay, it's not a perfect square, but I can simplify it. The square root factor of 20 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. The square root of 4 is 2, so that simplifies to be 2 root 5. So x equals -4 plus or minus this radical simplified to be 2 root 5, all divided by 2. Okay, now notice I have 3 terms. Each of these terms is divisible by 2. So we're going to simplify by dividing by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and -4 divided by 2 is -2. Okay, do not cancel what's under the root. Only cancel what's outside of the radical right here. Okay, now our final answer then is x equals -2 plus or minus 1 root 5. So they'll just write root 5. And it's all over 1, so they won't even put that over 1. So this would be your answer that you would put in Delta Math. Okay, that's what's the different twist with this lesson, is you simplify this radical simplifies, then you come down to here, and then occasionally you can cancel between all 3 terms. Now there might be some instances where you can't cancel. For example, let's just pretend, let's just suppose you got an answer like this. X equals -8 plus or minus 3 root 7 over 5. Okay? -8, 3, and 5 are not divisible by any number. So you would just leave it like this. Okay? All right, number 2. Let's do another one. 3x squared minus 12x plus 3 equals -3x squared. Okay, again, we have to get this in standard form, so I need to move this 3x squared over here. Now, some of you might quickly look at that and say, oh, the x squareds go away. But no, they don't, because we need to add 3x squared to both sides, and that's an x squared term, so I'll put it under there. So 3 plus 3 actually gives me 6x squared, and then the minus 12x, and then the plus 3 equals 0. So now it's in standard form and we're ready to go. Let's go to the quadratic formula. X equals the opposite of b, so 12 plus or minus the square root of, now keep in mind we're taking -12 squared. So -12 squared, a negative times a negative is a positive 144, minus 4 times a is 6, times c is 3, all over 2 times a, 2 times 6. Okay, I'm going to challenge you, hit pause, see if you can simplify this radical. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you did. So this is the square root of 144. It's going to be a minus. Okay, I'm going to take 4 times 6 times 3. Now I'm going to get my calculator out because I do not want to make a silly error on my lesson. So let's do 4 times 6 times 3, and we get 72. Okay, we know 144 minus 72 is, in fact, 72. 72 does have a perfect square factor. 72 is the product of 36 and 2. 36 times 2 is 72. The square root of 36 is 6. So I have 6 root 2. So down here, let's combine what we know. We have 12 plus or minus 6 root 2, all divided by 12. All right, so now I see that I have 12 and 6 root 2 and 12, but I'm zeroing in on the 6 because 12, the 6, and the 12 are the 3 I want to see if I can cancel. And actually I can, because 12 and 6 and 12 are all divisible by 6. So if I did 12 divided by 6, that would give me 2. 12 divided by 6 would give me 2. And 6 divided by 6 would give me 1. Okay, so now we've got x equals 2 plus or minus 1 root 2, so you can just write root 2 all divided by 2. And that will be our final answer. Okay, now keep in mind, do not cancel between the root 2 and the 2. You cannot cancel what's under a radical and what's not under a radical. You can only cancel between what's outside the number outside of the radical. This number, not what's under the radical. Okay, so that is your answer. And of course, you know, on Delta Math, put your numerator in parentheses. So parentheses 2 plus or minus root 2, and then hit the divide by key, divided by 2, enter that, and you should be good to go. All right, I think these two problems should do it. This is what you're going to practice. Here is your goal. Our goal for today is to do 13 problems, okay? We're going to do 13 problems in Delta Math like this. Work, you know, carefully. Watch your details. Be, you know, careful with details. And I think you'll find these kind of fun and challenging. All right, have a great, you know what? Let's just have a great day. Let's just end with we're going to hit that goal. We're going to do that. And have a good day. Okay, bye-bye. See you tomorrow.